Speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity.
We know the air is unfit to breathe and our food is unfit to eat. As if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy.
Silence! The great and powerful Oz knows why you have come.
You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
You have meddled with the primal forces of nature.
Don't give yourselves to brutes. Men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, or what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men with machine minds and machine hearts.
And now, Reality Rants with Jason Bermas.
And who loves you? And who do you love?
Good morning. Good morning. I am Jason Bermas. This is Reality Rants via Red Voice Media, another jam-packed show for you today. I hope a lot of you tuned in yesterday. I really thought that the Peter Thiel expose / speech watch along was really important. Even if you only got the first hour, I would definitely encourage you to go at least listen to the Podbean, or in a couple weeks check out the rest of the show. Or you don't need me blabbering. You can go listen to Thiel himself and kind of absorb it all. And if there's some subjects maybe that he talks about that you're not quite certain what he's talking about, take the time to do a little research into it. Like when he starts talking about the singularity, okay, and kind of this Kurzweilian society and the curbing of technological feats. And a lot of that, in my opinion, has just been done underground and unfortunately hidden from the people. And I feel like Thiel himself is privy to some of that knowledge, if not the vast majority of it, because of his obvious security clearances. I mean, this is a guy that's worked heavily with the National Security Council. He was the technology advisor for Trump. All these things, you know. So I thought yesterday's broadcast was bang on. Really, I've been having fun all week. Not a guest-heavy week, but we're going to kind of change that today. We're going to do some news, and then probably 30, 45 minutes in, we're going to play this interview that I recently did with Mel K of the Mel K Show, which, you know, Mel does a great job, and her presentations over at the Reawaken America Tour are now some of the best. You know, other people come up to me at these things, and we start talking about certain presentations and basically which ones are heavy on the facts. And Mel always does a really good job. So we're going to have that conversation. That'll go over to premium. I want to remind everybody, redvoicemedia.com/Jason, redvoicemedia.com/uncensored. That's where you're going to find me. $10 a month. Start for $1 for the first week. See how you like it. It's not just me 4 days a week. This network is building and growing. You know, you've got other shows that are now on 2 days a week. The announcement, Matt Couch is going to be here 4 days a week. And look, I think eventually this network's going to grow to the fact that you're going to get Friday shows, you're going to get weekend shows or special reports, all those things. Like, I'd love to be doing small mini documentaries, but they take so long. That's why you kind of end up doing one or the other, right? I was talking to my friend Justin yesterday, and we were just kind of discussing. We just shot a video, and we're going back and forth. And the video came out really good. I think that his editing was really good in it. But we're just kind of discussing how much setup some people need. And he was just kind of impressed that I do all my own graphics, all my own transitions. I queue up the stories. I rip the videos. I've got other contextual articles. He's like, a lot of people can't do that. They have full teams doing that for them. And I go, yeah, but I am kind of a control freak too. It's not that I don't necessarily play well with others. I think that I actually do play well with others, and that a lot of my past work and the stuff that I've collaborated on, especially in the documentary film arena, is part of teamwork. You can't, do it all by yourself. And I think it stands the test of time. Just saying. Now, even some of the mini docs I put together in the past 5-6 years, stuff I was doing for We Are Change, those are solid videos. I did a couple presentations on Dennis Hassert that were more like the Now This videos, et cetera, et cetera. It's just finding the time. And then you got to kind of weigh, how much reach you're getting from these things. Are they getting any more views than, say, the show? The show's growing. I was thinking about the Rumble numbers alone. Okay, think about the Rumble numbers, guys. We're at about 8,000 to 10,000 bare minimum, sometimes much more, Rumble alone. Less than 50,000 subscribers on Red Voice Media's end. About 17,000, a little less than 17,000 on my end. That's 67,000. I've got 70,000 stagnant now on YouTube for months and months and months again. I think we got 3,000 yesterday. So with a reach of a fifth or a fourth less, we're doing 3 to 4 times the numbers. Easy over there. Okay? Now you can't make a living on Rumble, but for me, the biggest thing is getting this information out to the masses. I'm nobody. I hope you go find the clips. I hope you share them with other people. I know a lot of people get frustrated that I don't sit there and put the links down all over the place. One day when there are interns, guys. Again, think about how much I'm doing on my own anyway. Like a lot. Well, you know how much stuff I watch that we don't talk about on the show? A ton. And then God bless everybody out there in the Bermas Brigade that's sending me tips. Okay, because the tips you guys send me that lead me down other paths, great. Thank you. And by the way, those that send me actual physical tips over at Rockfin or buying me a coffee in the links down below, also another great way to support the broadcast. So many ways to support the broadcast. Going out on social media and sharing the 8-minute, 6-minute, 10-minute clips that are out there that they're putting out there. Important stuff. So we're going to lead with a couple important videos. One of which is, again, a tip. One of the great viewers out there, Simon Naylor, really sends me good stuff all the time. He shows something called the bystander effect. All right, and I think it's a powerful story, and it's one of the reasons that we're in this situation where this globalist takeover of hate and lies, as you see in the thumbnail, is able to accelerate. And it's because so many people are not willing to take action and acquiesce, even when they know something is inherently wrong, okay? Something is inherently wrong, and it's going on right in front of them. They've been trained and then conditioned in a manner where they no longer take action. And I think this is a phenomena that is not exclusive to the American culture. It is, in fact, global. It is innate in humanity, and it is exploited over and over and over and over again. And then I'm going to go show you a slew of videos with this new filter that we played a clip of yesterday that literally changes your eyes, changes your lips, makes you more quote-unquote beautiful. Isn't the dog and like hippie, an animal filter of the day, or the making you an anime character. No, this looks much more lifelike, getting you ready for the catfishing, getting you ready for the real-time deep fakes, getting you ready for an avatar virtual lifestyle. And at the same time, you'll see the reactions of so many of these girls that immediately become self-conscious. I mean, they're actually in real time, as they talk and emote, seeing what they've been conditioned to believe is a more physically beautiful version of themselves. You know, you thought you felt inadequate by not being able to live up to the airbrushed models and the movie stars with the lighting and the whole shebango. Like, you know, there's a lot of times on this show, even now, people will comment on the dark circles on my eyes. I don't do makeup, guys. I dust a little bit because I'm a greasy dude. That's about it. You know, I'm not makeup McGinty. This is what you get. I got a little bit of lighting going on. Depending on where I go, I might look a little bit better. I don't know what app this thing is on. I'm tempted to do it in real time for the show and then hook up the phone device in a video out so you guys can see it in real time next to my real face, right? And you just experience it. But we're going to play those videos after we play the bystander effect video. But before we get to all that, okay, I want to go over this story really quick. I had some fun earlier in the week. I played the park video, right? We had a laugh. In fact, you know, I even said, good possibility this thing is staged. So the comments were rampant. Either you loved it or you said, Bermas, how could you fall for this thing? I don't necessarily think I've fallen for it. You know, this is the I want to believe moment. I want to believe that there's a sharp old man out there that just wants to be in the park where some entitlement oozing influencer person is put in their place. I want to believe. We all want to believe. Now, at the same time, I mean, I sent it to a buddy of mine. And I go, man, it's just so perfect at times. It gotta be scripted. I mean, the way he talks to her, it's, oh, behave yourself. I love that. Behave yourself. Oh, followers have you. You're Jesus now, are you? Good stuff. Great stuff. So, you know, that thing has made the rounds everywhere and for good reason. And, you know, again, very well may have been staged. So let's get to the bystanders video. And this is a young woman talking about an experience that she had in the classroom.
I'm not 100% sure why I'm being asked to share this story, but I'm guessing it's because somebody needs to hear it. When I was 16, I went into what I thought was going to be a normal day at biology class. And when I walked in, all the desks were arranged in a circle in the middle of the room. And the instructor, who had always been a really amazing, loving, kind instructor, was super militant, super scary, and just looked at us and said, "Sit down, shut up. You are not allowed to move, to speak at all, and anyone who does will immediately fail my class." And we were all stunned. I get like, just thinking about it, because I was a straight A student and grades were really important to me, and I was just like terrified.
So let's start how the situation has begun. You have a figure who's generally trusted, generally liked by the students, with a completely different demeanor. You have a separate environment that you're walking into, in the sense that it's not the usual classroom. There's something different. And then you have an upfront ultimatum given by that person in a tone and manner that you're simply not used to. All right, now this isn't just someone you met. I think that it's important that the conditioning that this was somebody that was liked in the first place and that had a certain level of trust. I think that's, and is also an authoritative figure, is important for this to work. But let's continue.
So we're all sitting there silently, nervous out of our minds. And in the middle of this circle that we were all sitting in, there was one desk. And on this desk was a bowl with a goldfish in it. And he looked at us and he took the goldfish and he put it on the desk and he walked out and he shut the door. And we all just looked at each other. We're just like, what do we do? You know, like, obviously it violated like everything inside of me to like watch this fish die. And also, I heard the instruction. If you speak, if you get up, if you move, you will automatically fail the class.
I want to stop it there. You notice that one of the key things, again, for this to work is to restrict what? Movement and communication with each other. No speaking, no moving.
And so we all sat there looking to each other to do something because we didn't want it to be us. And what was a very painful, it felt like an eternity. It was probably like 2.5 minutes later. Hannah B, got up and said, fuck this, and took the goldfish and put it back in the bowl. And when she did that, he came out and he looked at all of us and he said, look what the world has done to you. You've betrayed yourself. For what? And I think about that lesson all the time because I learned in that moment that I am never going to be that person ever again. That when I see something that is wrong, even if it's just me, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to do what's right. And I've done that over and over again in my life in very scary situations. But I'm sad for people who haven't learned that lesson because there are so many things that are wrong that if you're too scared to make a difference, you won't make right.
I hate TikTok. Luckily, I wasn't on TikTok to find it in my Twitter feed. But think everything that was said there. And by the way, just so everybody understands also, the fish was never in danger, okay? Because it's, you know, that the fish that they were using could be there for 15 minutes, okay? So these are videos that I didn't rip because I figure I'm just going to scroll down through it. And look, you take a look at this person. Now, I want to just put this out there. I'm playing this one because I think this woman articulates the dangers of this app. Never shows you what she really looks like, but it begins a thread of plenty of these videos. Okay? I mean, quite a bit of these videos. And I watched quite a bit. We're going to watch them because most of them are under a minute. And it's stunning. We already watched one of them.
Okay, so there's this new filter on TikTok. And it's perfect. Look at it. You used to do that with an old filter and you would see the lashes on your hand like it would glitch. But look how perfect. I'm wearing no makeup right now. This is all a filter. And it's just scary because there's a lot of girls out there that don't realize when someone's got a filter on and they're chasing perfection because that's what they think everybody looks like. And this is not what people look like. So this is very scary.
So this one's going to give you a real deal.
He say that I'm good enough. Think about shit that I shouldn't know.
That's what she really looks like. Okay? Notice it, and they're touching their face, the whole nine. And you can see some distortion. It's not perfect. But can you imagine being on this thing after being in the bar? Okay, now, so this is what this person actually looks like. That's ugh. I hate the fact that there's music on any of these things. Let's just play it right here. I muted that one. Okay, so take a look. Boom. So you saw it in real time. Now, Melissa from Truth Stream Media recently did a side-by-side also. But here's yet another person.
Okay, everybody's using this filter, and so we got to see what it's about. Oh, God. What? Why am I, like, fucking gorgeous?
And, these aren't bad-looking women. I just want to say that. I mean, you look at these people, but they're not done up. Obviously, look at this person's hair, but look, right, in real time, boom.
Oh, God.
Just changes their face. Here's yet another one.
This is not healthy. This is not healthy. My insecurity is about to skyrocket. My confidence is about to go way down. Oh, that took a blow.
So, again, it's not like that this is an ugly person. That's what they really look like right there. There's nothing wrong with you, but
to
full
go
makeup.
Way down.
Oh. This is another example. Very, very close up.
This filter has me freaked out. Do you guys want to see what I really look like right now? I know people think these are fun, but I think they're really harmful to society. Just my 2 cents.
It's going to get way worse. Now, we did this one yesterday, so we'll skip over that. Because, again, they're getting you ready to disassociate yourself completely from your actual body. It's a real thing that this creates a type of mental illness that is harmful. Okay? That does cause depression. That might give a physician the excuse to put you on multiple SSRIs. And by the way, can we get 100 thumbs up, guys, for a globalist takeover of hate and lies? Because this is part of it. This is part of that transition from the bio-nano era they've taken us into and into the transhuman one. With all these promises of technology empowering humanity, meanwhile, it is extremely apparent to me they're going to utilize it for enslavement.
This filter is actually insane. I mean, how do they do this? You want to see a catfish? Here's a catfish. I have never felt uglier.
And again, that's not an ugly person. So it also feels like no matter what level you're on, that filter is going to try to make you, quote unquote, more beautiful. Let's keep going.
You guys, this is the problem. Look, you can't even tell it's a filter anymore. Oh Lord, I don't even want to have kids anymore.
Get ready. They don't want you to have kids.
Sorry, I feel like I'm losing my mind. What do you mean you can't tell that this is a filter? I look like a Bratz doll. I look like I belong in Madame Tussauds wax museum.
I mean, you might say that you look like a Bratz doll, but it's funny because, listen, my girlfriend is naturally beautiful. I think that I'm very lucky guy. Sweatpants and a hat, some sunglasses. I think she's just as gorgeous as when she puts on makeup. One of the first comments my niece made about her when we were talking about her is that she looks like a Bratz doll. And then recently I was around her and her sister said the same thing to her. And I go, that's exactly what my niece said. So look, there are people that, do have a natural beauty without these filters for sure. But I mean, does that person look any less than just somebody with makeup on that's an influencer? I forget the ex-Disney actress that talked about the horrific things that happened to her as a child. This woman reminded me of her. Something Bell, is it? Or I forget what her name is. It's killing me. I mean, that person kind of looks like that. So here, I mean, this one, they show the before and after.
Okay, so I know, everybody's like, oh my god, you can't even, tell it's a filter anymore. Girl, I look yassified. Hold up. Y'all, I'm crusty as fuck.
I mean, take a look.
Just be crusty. It's fine.
Here we go. We'll keep going down the line. We've been doing this a little bit. And then I got Crimea news. And just, I mean, when you watch this, talk about the push of World War III in this new Orwellian society. We played the Sean Penn video where he's like, we're overcautious about nuclear weapons. Don't worry. They don't want any ground troops. And then Zelensky being like, we need ground troops and we need them to die. What?
This is definitely not my face, but I just want you to see. Look, when I put my hand over, the filter doesn't move. Like, I could, like, usually you see the filter over your hand. I could start catfishing people. I could make rent.
Oh no, that's the other thing. Is that what this is going to spawn? It's going to spawn like a whole new thing of OnlyFans catfishes. Here we go. Let's do this one. I think we're going to do this will be the last. It's a long thread, guys. Oh, maybe we should do the guy too. We'll do the guy. We'll do this person, then the guy, and then we'll move on.
Okay, don't mind I had my glasses on. Look at this filter. Just look at this filter. What the hell?
Okay, so one more.
So some people have asked if this new filter, Bold Glamour, if it's just makeup, if it just kind of smoothes and paints the skin, or if it does anything more. And so I want to do before and after shots of what it does to me. And it's worth mentioning that the effect seems to do different things to different people. In particular to men, it's very, very subtle. And to me, it's very subtle as well. But it's definitely making physical changes to my face, to the structure of my face. Now, I know nothing about makeup, so I'm not going to make any speculations as to what can be achieved, what can be faked through makeup or not. I just want to show the kind of before and after stuff. And it's quite annoying turning the effect on and off while recording a video. So I want to do the talking first, and then I'll do before, after. So pay attention to my forehead. It's going to make my forehead a little bit wider. I don't know why, that's a good thing, but it does that. It moves my eyebrows down a bit. It makes them thicker and a bit lower and a bit more angled. And it's not just the hair, it just moves the whole lot down, including the bone. So when I turn my head with the lighting, it looks like this whole brow bone is lower and more tilted. It also seems to lift the edge of my eye up a bit so that my eye is less sloped down, but a bit more horizontal. It also makes it a little bit thinner so that it appears a bit wider. And also my eyelid folds, it reduces that. So that basically I'm less droopy-eyed and have a stronger whole eye section. It narrows the nose a little bit. It tucks these bits in. The lips, it's quite obvious. It makes the lips a bit fuller. But in my case, it also shortens the upper lip a little bit and lifts the side bits up to give me a kind of permanent smile. And it also seems to lift these bits up a bit to give me a stronger jawline. So now I'll do before and afters.
Okay.
So with me, it's very subtle. I don't know how useful that was, because when recording, it's really difficult to turn on and off. But for me and men, it's really, really subtle. But even with me, it's making physical manipulations. And I'd love to see what it does to women as well, what kind of physical changes it makes.
And I'd love to see where it's going to be in 6 months to a year. All right, let's move on down the line. I do want to remind people, it's day 10,365 of There's No List. And not only is there no list, we're still waiting. We're still waiting over here. Remember, this court case has been going back and forth since 2015. This is where the new unsealed Epstein documents will be. This is the docket right here, court listener. Still nothing. We check every day, everyone, okay? Now, I wanted to bring up this. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu's wife, Sarah, is rescued by police after being trapped in a hair salon for hours when protesters, critical of her husband's policies, spotted her there and surrounded it. So there's quite a few reasons I wanted to do this story. Okay, now take a look. Number one, a lot of people out there. Number one, how long until it gets so bad in this country or a European country for that to happen somewhere? I don't know if it's really that long. You know, one person pointed out to what was done to Rand Paul and his wife by that angry mob. And I would just say there's a little bit of a difference because you already had law enforcement there. They were just moving around. It was still egregious, but you certainly didn't have anybody trapped inside of a establishment, right? And no one seems to be talking about this stuff at all. Zero. Like Netanyahu, I was surprised that he got back into the prime minister spot, as he had lost before that. There are always these weird close elections. Obviously, Netanyahu, a guy of great power, very establishment, very along the lines of, in my opinion, biomedical fascism. We've played that clip where he talks about the genetic database that he wants to build, a DNA database. He's already got a database of 98% of the citizens' medical records over the last 20 years. So when I see something like that, I'm just like, man, that's something we have to look at. Now, this is something we should look at in our own country, because before I show you this clip of an NBC journalist inside of Crimea talking to citizens there, all of which say it's part of Russia. Inconvenient fact, I guess. This guy works for NBC, okay? He's now been put on the Ukrainian hit list. Now, there are other journalists out there that are supposedly in the realm of alternative media or conservative media that have now also been put on these lists. This is frightening to me, that we have a government that is allowing this as we militarily and financially support them with U.S. tax dollars. The fact that the media isn't even allowed to be embedded there and never has been, Michael Tracy was pointing that out from the very beginning, should have alarmed everybody. Should have known this was a long haul and not just a proxy war, and that this thing is escalating big time. But when that nation state is putting journalists, American, on hit lists, if I wake up one day and I'm on a Ukrainian hit list, that's about as serious as it gets for me. Hey, Voldemort, let's not put me anywhere. Thank you. That is frightening. So let's play this clip of this NBC journalist out in Crimea.
Is Crimea Russian or Ukrainian?
Crimea is
Russian.
Да.
Of course Russian. 73-year-old Praxovia tells me. Zelensky will not get Crimea back because we have our commander-in-chief, Putin. Every one of them told us that they are Russian, and that if President Zelensky thinks Ukrainian forces can come here, they will fight them. President Zelensky has said that the Ukraine war started here and it will end here. But no one was able to tell us how it will end and how much more blood will be spilt.
So, again, a pretty milquetoast segment there. Nothing too big of a deal, right, guys? I didn't think so. Nothing going on. And yet, here we are. There he is. He's on the Ukrainian hit list. This guy, NBC news journalist Kiera Simmons, recently went to Crimea and reported that most Crimeans are pro-Russia. Now Ukraine has put him on its hit list website for reporting this fact. Wow. Meanwhile, what? The war in Ukraine is accelerating to the global drive towards killer robots. This article was posted by Annie Jacobson, okay? And it was basically for anybody who had read The Pentagon's Brain. And why is that important? Take a look. Because they're doing it. It's not just death from above and Starlink, okay? Although that's a big part of it. It's death from below. It's remote controlled or automated little death bots. And those have been utilized for a long time. And more they're being utilized. The battlefield is supposedly no place for humans, according to DARPA. Just want to Point that out, everybody. That's their own little slogan. Okay? So a big deal. A big deal. All right. I want to play this clip. And this is out of Lake Arrowhead, California. Now, as a lot of you guys know, they just got a bunch of snow. California, large state, big coast. They did get snow in places they don't normally. I think this is San Bernardino County, and that's one of those places. This is another story that just shows you they don't care about you. The biggest virtue signaling states and governors out there don't care about you or the little guy, the voter. They don't care about you. Now, an example of this was very evident to me via what? Via what happened in Buffalo. Just let people freeze to death. New York. New York is a physically large state. Buffalo, Rochester, Albany, Syracuse, all those places are nothing to scoff at population-wise, too. And even if they were super rural, that wouldn't make a damn bit of difference to me. Human beings live there. You think Hochul gave a rat's ass about those people? No. Do you think that Newsom cares about these people that have now been snowed in for 5 days with no end in sight? Absolutely truckin' not. So let's play this clip right here.
Hi, my name is Michelle Calkins. I'm a full-time local resident in Lake Arrowhead, California, in San Bernardino County. The communities of Crestline, Lake Arrowhead, and Running Springs are screaming and begging for help from our state. Our county declared a state of emergency, but doesn't seem to still be taking it serious. People are trapped in their homes and have been for now more than 5 days because the streets are not plowed. The snow has now accumulated up to about 9 feet on those streets. People cannot walk anymore. There are moms, personal friends who are low on formula that will only last them a day or two left. They have been calling the emergency hotline and no one is taking us serious. Please, we are begging you, send help. We need help. This is not a joke. We are not Mammoth. We are not Tahoe. We are not Big Bear. We are not a city. We are unincorporated and we need help. People are trapped in their homes. They cannot get medicine, heart medicine, insulin. The stories could go on and on. Please, we beg you. We need help from the state. Are you listening?
Are you listening? No. They don't care about you. They like to grandstand and Johnny Nonsense. And if you were watching or listening to the second hour yesterday, we brought up Thomas Massie. Thomas Massie is the dude. Thomas Massie, congressman out of Kentucky. Here, Thomas Massie owns John Kerry's ass on the idea that carbon dioxide is going to get us all. It's going to kill us all. And, Massie actually has degrees in the actual sciences, not, in biology, not, political science like John Kerry.
What's the consensus on parts per million of CO2 in the atmosphere?
About 406 today.
Okay, 406. Are you aware?
350 being the level that scientists have said is danger.
Okay, are you aware? 350 is dangerous. Wow. Are you aware that since mammals have walked the planet, the average has been over 1,000 parts per million?
Yeah, but we weren't walking the planet. Let me just share with you that we now know that definitively at no point during the past 800,000 years has atmospheric CO2 been as high as it is today.
The reason you chose 800,000 years ago is because for 200 million years before that, it was greater than it is today. And I'm going to submit for the record.
Yeah, but there weren't human beings. I mean, there was a different world, folks. We didn't have 7 billion people.
So how did it get to 2,000 parts per million if we humans weren't here?
Exactly. So, again, they're talking about, their logic is so ridiculous. Something that is 5 times where we're at today, with all sorts of mammals and even an ice age at these moments, right? And all these real geological events, it shows you that we have little to do with the carbon in the atmosphere that's creating this quote-unquote climate change. Remember, it used to be global warming, but now it's climate change.
Because there were all kinds of geologic events happening on Earth which spewed
Did
up.
geology stop when we got on the planet?
Mr. Chairman, this is just not a serious conversation.
Your testimony is not serious.
Not a serious conversation. He's like, your testimony isn't serious. My man Massey. My man Thomas Massey. I do like Massey. All right. What we're going to do for the next 20 minutes or so is we're going to play some of this interview with Mel K about a plethora of issues, including the Chinese spy balloon and really what's actually taking place in this global takeover. You know, we showed you some of the real-time tech. And they, again, when I say they, a predator class so badly wants you to buy into this system of virtual enslavement, of not feeling enough, of disconnecting you from your actual humanity. Your actual humanity. It's wild. I know. It seems like something out of a sci-fi picture. But I assure you, it is exactly what they're doing. So let's see. Let's bring it right to about here. You might hear a little behind the scenes, as we often do. That happens. But you know what? Why not? We do it live here. Without further ado, my conversation with Mel K.
It's working because we need more people in the middle than on either side. So you're helping that happen.
Trying.
Okay, it's so funny though when I read like a total right wing like that I don't even like and I can't stand, and they'll be like, and on Jason Bermas he said da da da, and I'm like, oh my God, Jason Bermas would be like, oh God, okay. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Recording in progress.
Welcome back to the Mel K Show. I am, as always, so excited. My guest today is, I have been following him for a long time. He's been on here before. I have watched him grow. He is one of the most important voices, in my opinion, in America right now, telling the truth. He is a deep dive journalist. He's a documentary filmmaker, and he's my friend. Welcome, Jason Bermas, to the Mel K Show.
Thanks so much, Mel, and it was great seeing you now a little over a month ago over in Nashville, Tennessee for the last Clay Clark's Reawaken America tour.
Yeah, but we'll be seeing you again on the road, and we got more things to do ahead. But what's great is that you have gotten a show. You have a show on Red Voice, and I tell you, like I was just telling you off air, it's so funny because what we need, and I've been saying this a long time, we kind of do it on Union of the Unwanted and some other places, but what we really need is where people can find common ground, middle ground. I don't care if you're left, right, anarchist, libertarian, whatever it is. The truth is we are all in the same battle at the end of the day, and there is no sides if there's no America, and they're going at full steam ahead. But you're crossing that gamut that's been very hard for people to figure out. And I wanted to talk just a little bit before we get into some of the deep stuff that you have uncovered on many levels. That has been a hard road for most people, and you seem to be doing that. How are you feeling about this new kind of opportunity that you've been given to kind of speak to everyone? I think you're handling it beautifully, and you've always been you've always said on your shows it's not about left or right, but right and wrong. But now, you're fully living that, and I think inspiring others.
Well, thank you so much. I think it's going well, right? I'm able to say whatever I want on my show. I'm able to have any guest that I want on there. Pasta Jardula, he's on the Union of the Unwanted sometimes, but also Convo Couch and AM Wake Up. Pretty left-leaning guy, just spoke over at the
I'm good friends with him.
Yeah, Rage Against the War Machine did a great job. I really loved his speech. Jimmy Dore, very big leftist, also over there. And actually, last weekend, just through a coincidence, and I take every opportunity that I have, Kurt Metzger, who's often on the Jimmy Dore Show and writes for the Jimmy Dore Show, he was a couple hours away doing comedy, and my buddy was opening up for him. So we actually went out there, and I was able to spend some time with Kurt Metzger, and now I've got him texting me about Martine Rothblatt and transhumanism and all sorts of good stuff. So, really, I've always said this. It doesn't really matter what the political persuasion of the person next to you, across from you, is if you can make a human connection. And if you can make that human connection and you can find something that you agree on, you can work your way out and really bring the conversation to a place maybe they weren't expecting, and them giving you respect as long as you give them respect back. I mean, obviously the Reawaken America tour isn't like a custom glove fit for me either. I mean, that's a pretty conservative, religious type of tour, and yet I'm able to have conversations with people like Peter McCullough for the very first time there,
Yeah.
meet people like Jay Dyer and Ryan Christian from The Last American Vagabond. So it shows you that there are people, I think, on both sides of the spectrum, some that will identify as a leftist or a progressive, some conservative Republican, that are looking for truth, right?
Yep.
And they're willing to have those conversations. And it's the complete opposite of how the mainstream media would like to present it, to try to push us into more division and this narrative of some kind of a civil war. Folks, if we ever break out in a civil war in this country, nobody wins. Nobody wins because the people at the top don't care who wins as long as the regular people, the serf class, the plebs lose. And I guarantee you, we get into a physical conflict with one another, we all lose.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is no way to go. And honestly, I believe that people, this is the best part. And you know, when I first, I remember the first time that we were in Tulsa together and we all went out after, and it was just, we went to a great live music place and it was just totally fun. And we just realized like everyone just wants the government to leave us alone and do their job. Why is everyone talking about politics? I didn't grow up like this. You didn't grow up like this. This became a psyop to just make us divided and crazy. And here we are, and we all followed the pandemic. You didn't. You got the heck out of here. But, you know, here we are, Jason, and now, and you've been on the front lines a long time, but the chaos that they are causing, the psychological damage, the mental health problems, the drug and alcohol and suicide, everything that's going on is by design. And every single day we get a new story. It turns the cycle. The last story is forgotten. They're on to the next thing. And you're very good. And this is why I highly recommend your daily show to people in the morning, because it kind of keeps you focused. But what you do, I think, almost better than almost anyone I watch regularly, which is only a small group of people now because I don't have time, but also I don't have time to sort through it myself. You kind of say, that's a distraction. That's diluting the truth. This is what you should be paying attention to. And on that side of it right now, what are the things that are actually newsworthy, that are worthy of people paying attention to? Because you every day say, I'm not going into that because that doesn't matter. And yet the mainstream media that day is talking about that nonstop.
Yeah. You know, that I think that I kind of am mindful of what everybody else is talking about. What's making its rounds not only in mainstream media, but also being talked about and harped upon in the alternative media. You know, not everything in my Twitter feed is going to make it. Most of the hot takes out there, I don't really agree with. And I would probably give an example of holding back, waiting a minute. I think giving a more in-depth perspective that's more along the lines of reality than most people, and then having it confirmed. And I think the latest story that exemplifies that is the balloon story. You know, I was so tempted, Mel, just like so many others that actually did it, where all of a sudden in the news cycle, I'm seeing a balloon in Montana, and it's Chinese spy balloon, Chinese spy balloon, Chinese spy balloon. And now it's on every network. And I'm like, I'm looking at it and I'm like, man, maybe I should go live. But I probably would have taken a bit more of a contrarian view if I did. But I waited a few days and I said, and this was by the time that there were several other balloons. And out of the gates, I said, look, I don't believe this is a Chinese spy balloon. I mean, everybody's telling you it is one. And I would say, if you look at it, I guarantee, there's probably some Chinese parts. But what does it look like? Forget what everybody else told you. Take a look at it. What's it look like? It looks like a satellite, and a damn big one, right? So you had this satellite on a balloon that was the size of 3 buses. Now, again, most people, they're in imagination land. They're absorbed by Hollywood and infotainment and really don't understand the space program, even at a micro level. So they don't understand, hey, it's not easy to get something into orbit that's the size of 3 buses. In fact, they don't do that, Mel. Like, for those that don't understand, the ISS itself, which is similar in size to that satellite, it's not much bigger, was put together in space. Why? Number one, It's very, very hard and difficult to get things into orbit. You know, I played a clip on my show of even Elon Musk saying, hey, it's pretty easy to get into space, but it's 100 times harder to get into orbit. And low Earth orbit isn't the only one. There are separate levels of getting into orbit. So the first thing I said to everybody is you have to realize there's actually a large global network of satellites that are on balloons that they don't discuss. And everybody goes, well, why would they do that? We're so much further technologically. Yeah, but what is tried and true and tested and works? Okay, what works? They work. Okay? So a few days go by after even the incidents of the other three, and I had posited, you know, one of the reasons this thing may have gone down is, number one, we're putting up a ton of Starlink. In fact, on my show yesterday, I showed the global network of Starlink, and I'm not sure if you've seen that video, but it surrounds the planet now. Okay, it's everywhere. It surrounds the planet. It is the artificial skin that members of NASA were talking about back in 2016 at that Transformers conference. So that's there. And I said, look, with those, you have other communication systems that aren't Starlink, the CubeSats, the nanosats. For instance, I've shown my audience, they have satellites literally the size of a building block now that go up into separate types of orbit. And they even have elementary kids building these things. Now, other CubeSats, they almost look like a Christmas package, right? Something around that size. But these are very different from what you've seen traditionally. So I thought maybe, you know, they're putting these things up. They're having problems up there. They admitted this thing had a propeller and propulsion systems on it, right? So obviously it's automatically moving. Maybe putting these things up into orbit caused some problems, took out some of the things. And those things are normally at 100,000, 60,000 minimum. They drop down to the 30, 20,000 range. Now you can see them as a human being, okay? I think that's what happened. I think that's what those networks are. And then Hirsch comes out and he says that they are actually part of a global satellite network along the Arctic Circle that is managed by Fairbanks, Alaska, where he's actually given a lecture. And what does he mean by that? Well, those that circumvent the Arctic Circle don't have a lot to go by on navigation systems. So this satellite network is there to help them with that bare minimum. And it was Hirsch's contention that these balloons were actually satellites knocked out of that network. Now, again, we can speculate as to why, and I would say my heaviest speculation, okay? Right. And I always preface this stuff because I don't know. No. There's been a lot of talk of, obviously I talk about space warfare, but a HARP trended right before the Syrian and Turkey earthquakes, right? Now, I'm not saying it was HARP. I'm saying I saw some weird videos where there were flashes of light, and I know that we have this technology. Now, if you are dealing with that, an atmosphere, and that type of weaponry, there's a good chance that you're going to knock out some of the hardline satellite systems that you have there. And that might be what happened. Could be weather, anything. But I believe that they're part of a larger actual satellite network that's still classified via treaties. If you are, for instance, China just sent their astronauts up to the Tianyang space station that they've built. That was just, I think, within the last week and a half. We have to remember that in Kazakhstan, the United States and Russia went up to the ISS together. You know, that this is a joint program. There are joint treaties that we are not privy to. Okay, so this looks like that network, and that is important because we should understand how the infrastructure works, because at the same time that China takes, oh, well, that's ours, but it's an eco-surveillance balloon, which it very well may have been. And may have,
exactly.
Yeah, it may have not been in there, but we have to understand the greater networks, the technology. We have to get out of this narrative of red China bad, USA patriot good, and that's everybody. I mean, how many people jumped on that? I mean, people were talking to me about EMPs and the distributing bioweapons via these balloons. Guys, let's get into reality here. The reality is they didn't want any eyeballs on that thing. They were embarrassed that it was there. They took it out to the ocean before they took it out. And then all the other ones, there's not a picture of them. Again, they waited until they got to the ocean and they took them out. They do that because they don't want you to see the actual infrastructure, and they don't want you to have the actual narrative. Because, yeah, is China the model? Mel, we've talked about it. It is the model. They like the social credit score. Right. They like the one-party system. They like the command and control. But they have to pit that against freedom and democracy. And how much freedom and democracy do we have free and fair elections here anymore? Are you
No.
really allowed to go anywhere you want? You're still in New York. You know, my brother was up here from New York last week talking about how he still can't go see a doctor without putting a mask on 3 years later. That is insanity, Mel.
It's insanity. And yeah, I'm in Florida right now though, but I still live in New York. And look, I watch you run, and I the whole time, every time I see you, I'm like, oh God, I should have followed you. But yeah, no. Here's the crazy part too. I was talking to somebody about this China. First of all the information we're getting in general is bogus. I believe that on the highest level, everything, China, Russia, Taiwan, Ukraine, this, that, it's all, there is no truth coming out, and it's behind the scenes. But this is something you just brought up, and I wonder what you think of this. I was talking to a guy that was talking about geoengineering and HARP and all of the stuff that they've had for decades. It's not new. And he was saying that all of the militaries would have to be working together, that it couldn't be one nation or one group manipulating the weather alone. Like he was kind of saying that, no, on a very high level, what we're talking about would have to be a joint venture between all of them. And he said, and that's because he's also one of those people that say, yeah, you can look at Davos, you can look at this and that, you can say, well, Russia and China are here, and then the U.S. is here, and UK's here. He's like, but some of this stuff, they have to all be in it together. That's not the way it works. What do you think of that high-level concept where you're talking about the shell that NASA talked about in the document that you've once talked about on here, that they needed to have their fourth industrial revolution, internet of bodies, full takeover on natural assets and natural resources, that it would have to be all of the nation, all of the high level, the tippy top, the puppet masters of all of the nations working together against all of humanity. I mean, all of us.
So,
what's your thoughts on that?
I think that is sort of correct. I don't think it's every single nation state. I think those that have made it into space and are first world nations and have that technology, absolutely. Like I said, I think it's part of those agreements. Now, whether or not they are carrying out operations in which they utilize weather warfare or geoengineering on a high level scale to hurt people, like we're talking about inducing earthquakes or tsunamis, etc. I don't know about that, but I do believe that there's obviously a network that's agreed upon when they do want to do cloud seeding or other type of manipulation. I think at the end of the day, you already have this supranational network of intelligence agencies that we know. Forget about Five Eyes, right? That's just one example of it. But you obviously have that USA, UK, Saudi, Israeli alliance on some level. Right. You have the Palantirs of the world, right? So yeah. I think, and this is something James Corbett and I have spoken about many, many times, is that obviously there is a group outside of nation states that have similar goals and are willing to work together. Now, does that mean that old Vladimir is having conversations with Joey B behind the scenes that we don't know about? No, of course not. First of all, Joe Biden is a figurehead. I would argue that probably, Putin runs more, but there are many people behind the scenes there. And the same thing with Xi Jinping. He may be the great leader. He's not leading 1.2 billion people alone. So I think, number one, you do have an agreement, especially on certain types of propulsion systems and weapon systems, period, right? To think that nuclear weapons are the most dangerous, we already kind of know that's not the case. We've seen some of the laser weapons, for instance, in action. So I agree in the sense that I do believe that, you talked about Davos. Yeah, that's just a mouthpiece. Bilderberg, just a meeting area. I think you do have a consortium of powerful people that do have this technology and work together outside of nation states. One of the most impressive things I've heard out of Flynn, for instance, it was a couple of these back. I think it was either in Pennsylvania or New York, and I was hanging out with the Epic Times. They were next to me, and they were doing an hour. They'd end up doing like an hour with Flynn, and so I was listening in, and Flynn said, "Look, I know of at least one group that has the resources and abilities of an entire nation state," and I would agree with that. I think in many ways the nation state is antiquated. For instance, I was talking to Ian Crossland, and we'll stop it there. I know a lot of you guys watched the interview with Ian Crossland. About 40 more minutes of that interview with Mel K. There's also a couple more clips that I want to play on the uncensored portion of the broadcast that we probably can't get away with here on YouTube. I want to remind everybody you can listen for free over at Podbean. We're going to give the cue to the producer that we're going to start going over one by one. But remember, redvoicemedia.com/Jason, redvoicemedia.com/uncensored. And that's where you can watch the uncensored second hour of the broadcast 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday. And remember, every single day we also release the premium from 2 weeks ago. I got to start posting a few of those bits and pieces over on YouTube and Rockfin. There's some really good ones. There's some ones where I've done some in-depth watch-alongs. Unfortunately, a lot of them can't go up in full on YouTube, but we're going to try to put them up, at least the vast majority of it, over at Rockfin. So Rockfin, thank you so much. We'll see you on the flip. YouTube, arrivederci. We do have mixed martial